So now we have looked at the Fool, and we have looked at how the Fool kind of morphs into the magician or comes across the magician on the soul's journey. The activating male, if you like, male principle, and I use these terms guardedly, male and female. It's just a type of energy, kind of, I guess, active, more proactive external energy. But the second stage, which is number 2, that we come to in the journey of the soul, I do apologize for the reflection here, is the High Priestess. And the High Priestess is trump number 2. So the High Priestess, as the name suggests, is a sort of holy person, because she's a priestess. And once upon a time, in other packs as well, she's called a popess. The High Priestess is a woman sitting on a stone or on a throne, and she's wearing a blue robe, blue and white, and she sat in between 2 columns, one black and one white. There is a curtain hung behind the 2 columns with what looks like, some people say it looks like pineapples. It's actually supposed to be pomegranates. We can see behind the columns, if we look very carefully, we can see that there is water behind the columns and behind the curtain. The High Priestess is wearing a crown, which looks like a little bit like Isis crown. Has a circle and 2 sort of what looks like horns to the side. And also she has a foot on the crescent moon. Now, the High Priestess is essentially representing the female, divine female, the Shekinah, the holiest female sacred entity. Is the sacred female, effectively. However, in this culture, we associate the female with certain qualities like being caring, being inward looking, being nurturing. And if the magician was kind of the active magical principle, I guess with the High Priestess, you could say that she is the internal, not so much passive, but internal magic. The High Priestess is very much about intuition. So she's dressed in blue, so obviously the sort of color of, again, intuition, and white, again, which is we talked about male and female colors earlier, white and red. So again, white is associated with more with the kind of female energy, the intuitive energy, and passive, if you like, in this sense. She's wearing the triple crown, the triple moon crown. I associate the crown that she's wearing with the triple moon. So you have the full moon and then the 2 crescents of the 2 waxing and waning moon. She's also got her foot on a crescent moon. So this kind of card is very much associated with the moon. The other thing that is associated with the moon is behind the curtain. So the pomegranates on the curtain, first of all, the pomegranate is traditionally associated with a goddess worship, and a sacred female. Because of the shape and because of the idea of the seeds in ancient Greece, definitely the pomegranate was associated with the underworld. Behind this curtain and behind the columns, we have water, and water in the tarot and lots of kind of occult magical symbolism is associated with the unconscious, the subconscious with emotions. So the suit of water in the tarot, the cups, is water, is subconscious. Emotions, intuition, equilibrium, internal equilibrium. They're the waters of the subconscious behind the High Priestess. The columns are representing of the columns outside the Temple of Solomon, at the doorway of the Temple of Solomon, Boaz and Joachim. And again, they also represent the two pillars of the Kabbalistic, the Hebrew tree of life. On the left, you have the black column, which is again associated with internal energy, kind of more female introspective energy, and it's the pillar of severity, of hardship, and on the right is the pillar of strength. So that's the meaning of those two columns. Is she's at the entrance of the subconscious, and in order to go through the subconscious, you have to face up to your fears, you have to face up to your strength. You need to go through a trial, if you like. So if we're thinking of this as the hero's journey, the fool's journey, this is the beginning of the descent. Yeah, the fool is heeded its call as the hero, and he's met the magician who asked him to choose a weapon for his quest, and is now arrived at the doorway, at the door to the underworld. And he's meeting the High Priestess, and he's come face to face with the subconscious and everything that it throws up. And the High Priestess asks us to go within, just go within. Don't listen to anything else. It's a very internal energy. Tune into your internal, your intuition. What again, you've got all those, we had all those tools on the magician's table. But what the High Priestess is saying, those tools aren't worth anything unless you tune into your inner knowledge. This is where you will find your answers. Now, the pomegranate is a symbol of the underworld. Another connection of the High Priestess is with the figure of Persephone. If any of you are familiar with the myth of Persephone being taken to the underworld by Hades. So Persephone was Demeter's daughter. Hades, the lord of the underworld, fell in love with her and he kidnapped her. Demeter obviously is the earth goddess. And Persephone, who was picking flowers quite innocently, was kidnapped by Hades. And he was effectively, I mean, it wasn't nice because, I mean, it would have been basically a rape, I guess, at the time. But symbolically, he took her to the underworld and they did become lovers. And I guess, I mean, as a consequence, then Demeter, decided not to, decided to scorch the earth basically, and the earth bore no fruit and no flower and no vegetables for a long time, and people were dying. So eventually they came to an arrangement where Persephone spent 6 months of the year with her mother and 6 months with her new husband Hades, so that the earth could continue to live. And that's where the seasons come from. That's kind of the sort of offshoot of that myth. But the point is that the symbolic aspect of that is Persephone coming face to face with her darkest fear, with the subconscious, and actually deciding that there was something there for her that she loved. So embracing that part of herself, if we see that as a quest, is embracing that part of ourselves, is descending into our subconscious, descending into our own underworld and embracing it, and understanding that there is something to be found there is something beautiful, and that's what the High Priestess is urging us to do. She is Persephone. She's saying, I've been there, I've gone inwards, I've faced my fears, my monsters, I've gone in, and I've got to know myself in a way that, I could never have known myself if I hadn't gone in. And she's inviting us to lift the curtain and to step into the primordial waters. High Priestess is intuition. She's holding a book, Torah, which is an anagram of tarot, a book of knowledge, um, introspective, esoteric knowledge. She's the guardian of esoteric knowledge. She's the guardian of the underworld, and she's urging you to go in. Now, it doesn't really look threatening, like as a card. It's not scary. I mean, there are other cards in the tarot that might look a bit scary, but this is not scary at all. It's a very still card. So, in your quest, you will come across, the active moment where you decide to do something, to take action. But at that moment, you also need to listen to your intuition. Go within, because the answers are within. High Priestess symbolizes this. She also symbolizes possible secrets. It might be something that you don't know about. So you can be careful when the High Priestess comes up. There's perhaps something that you need to know that you don't know. But it's really telling you to listen to that voice within. How many times have we heard a voice or had a gut feeling, what we call a gut feeling about something, and we brushed it off? No, it can't be. It can't be. No, I'm not quite right. That person. I think there's something about the way they're doing this that I'm not sure about. Or suddenly you have a doubt and you just know. You just think they're going to do this. They're going to do something that I don't like. And you just brush it off. Or you might think, I don't like the way that kind of came up. I don't like what was said. I'm not quite sure about how things develop. There's something that niggles at us. That's the High Priestess pinching you. And the High Priestess, she won't shout, but she's there in the background, at the corner of your eye. She will be poking you. If you're missing something, if you think something ain't quite right, that is because it probably isn't. That is essentially the key message of the High Priestess. And equally, if you think something is right, if something really feels right, listen to it. Listen to your subconscious. Just suspend rationality, suspend belief. Just tune in. Just step into the space, because it's there for you. Again, remember all the tools on the table. This is another tool. Spirit intuition is there for you. Listen to your High Priestess, because she's your friend. You might not like what she has to say. It might be uncomfortable, but she's looking out for you. Thank you very much.